Twins hold on. They avoid the sweep in Cleveland. Final score today, 5-4 in Game 3. We got the full deep dive. It's coming up next on the Minnesota Twins Postcast.
This is the Twins Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins Postcast right here. Locked On Sports Minnesota Network, your team every day. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Got my main man Theo Tollefson with me. He's on X. Give him a follow at Theodore Tollef1, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage. And man, you know, even when they're up 5-2 in the ninth, they still manage to find themselves in a one-run game by the time it's all said and done. You came on here with the nerdy stat. I want to say it wasn't that long, a couple episodes ago. I know it's not like the A topic today anymore, but how many one-run games has this team been in compared to the rest of the league? Do we know? It's got to be like top 2, top 3.
Yeah, no, it's up there. But I think the more important thing is we're just going to skip to the nerdy stat of the day right now. They just ended a 14-game losing streak of 14 straight losses in Cleveland.
Wow.
Of one-run baseball.
Say that again. 14? 14 yeah. It was at?
Where it was one-run difference to end the game.
All right, so, exercising some demons here. Some demons
that could be some good stuff there, but who knows? We have a long ways to go. It's going to be a long last 2 months of the season, so let's just be happy with the win they got today.
It's the little things right now, Theo. It's the little things. Glass half full. We'll take them any way we can get them. 5-4, that's your final. 51-59 now on the year. 52-59 now on the year. A lot to get into. Biggest turning point from today's game. Game MVP. What 2026 and beyond could look like if this front office knows what they're doing. But first, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Game Time. Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKDOWNMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right. Let's just jump right into it, man. First things first, before we get to the roster stuff and all that, let's get to the biggest turning point to kick things off.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So Twins jump out to a nice 4-0 lead in the top of the first, and things kind of cool down until later in the game. Up 5-2, bottom 9, 2 on for Cleveland, no outs. Base hit scores 2. Now all of a sudden it's 5-4 with a runner on and no outs. Rasmus Ramirez comes in, though. He gets the job done. Biggest turning point today. When was it and why?
It was that bunt ground ball that they had in the top of the 8th there to get that extra run. Otherwise, we'd be in extra innings right now and probably just getting off to talk about another dreadful walk-off loss in Cleveland, which is a never-ending reoccurrence for them. But at least today they prevented that from happening, which is huge. So if they don't get that run there in the 8th, the extra insurance run, then where you have an entirely different story. And fortunately, Erasmo Ramirez making his Twins debut, a fun guy around the league over the last few years, and he's been pitching decently in St. Paul. It was good to see him get out there in the majors again this season and just get that last couple of outs there since Tonkin was not getting what he needed to done.
Your boy Deshaun Kersey Jr. scored on that that bunt. Kody Clemons with the nice laydown there in the 8th that you're referring to. Let's get into the MVP of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I feel like, again, a roster full of, not new names, but just guys that we're not used to seeing day in and day out. Couple options here, I feel like, but you tell us today's game MVP. Who was it and why?
I'll just give it to Matt Wallner. If he doesn't get that triple in the top of the 8th, then you don't have Deshaun Kersey Jr. pinch running to get that insurance run scored. Wallner always seems to have a really good time hitting in Cleveland, so we got to take advantage of that. He had a really good series here despite the outcomes in those first 2 games. So, I mean, it's those little things we got to look for right now, and it's, Matt Wallner raking in Cleveland, which we will take, and he continues to hold that up.
Plenty more deep dive. What 2026 and beyond could look like if the Twins' game plan comes to fruition. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return, $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Why I love FanDuel, when you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you go check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 bet. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Get in some MLB future action if you dare. Tigers sitting at a nice, cushy minus 450 to win the AL Central right now. It's all sitting up over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, you already ripped off a nerdy stat of the day. Let's get into what we'll be talking about moving forward.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So it's all been doomsday scenario the last 72 hours or so. Let's try to spin this glass half full here, Theo. Give me a 30-second elevator pitch on why fans should be excited for 2026 and beyond now after that final series. Even if you don't believe it necessarily, what's the front office kind of banking on and building for the future now that should give us fans, that is, some hope, some optimism for 2026 and beyond?
Well, I think the best one we can really look at right now is the pitching depth they acquired this trade deadline. I think Mick Abel, who they got in the Duran trade, if he's not someone who's going to work out as a starting pitcher full-time, he's definitely going to be probably the most effective of these pitchers they acquired as a full-time reliever. If that ends up happening, he can touch up to 100 miles per hour on his fastball. So he won't be Juan Duran, but he's definitely someone to look forward to having in this organization, no matter which way he ends up on the mound, whether as a starter or reliever. So I think that was a good one. Taj Bradley, another decent young starter. I know he's got optioned to St. Paul, and he was just recently optioned by the Rays to AAA Durham before they acquired him. So he's someone that will be, cool to watch here soon, hopefully fit right into this rotation. It would not surprise me if he's within the rotation in the week or two. We'll see what happens there, where the openings are needed, since you still got Pablo Lopez and David Festa on the IL. And that's the thing. I think, we're hopeful that there's new ownership announced here in the coming months as we go towards into the offseason. That way we have a better idea of if they will have a better ownership group that's going to be more than willing to commit more money to this payroll. And, especially with the guys they currently have, and hopefully persuade both Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez to stay here and not be asking for trades in this offseason, which I think is the biggest fear, because right now that starting rotation depth is still their biggest strength. And if they can keep the majority of that core together, especially with the guys that just added in, then you're looking at, 2026 not being a complete rebuild year. And that's the best thing we can look forward to right now. Now, they did make some mistakes getting 2 extra left-handed hitting outfielders, which is absolutely nothing what they needed, but maybe Alan Rodin does prove to be a worthwhile 4th outfielder or live up to the potential he had as a prospect in the Blue Jays system. James Outman is just going to be another version of Deshaun Kersey Jr. with a little more pop, but that's about it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they got some decent guys back. I think everyone's still reeling that they did not capitalize on the maximum return they could have gotten for all these guys that they traded away. And, it's a big shift, seeing 10 guys who were in the clubhouse a week ago just completely gone now. And now you have all these new faces. I think, the best thing we can really take in right now is Buxton not being deterred by things, and he's going to stay committed to this team and not ask to be traded elsewhere. And we can really hold him to his word, and he's not giving us any reason not to believe him at this point. I mean, that's the best thing we can hope for, is he's still going to be the leader in this clubhouse. He's going to stick around and help these young guys, turn corner. And hopefully if that happens, then they can really get the right people in the front office to work with a bigger budget and, really reinforce this team to be a better contender next season than they were this year.
Well said there. Good stuff. When it comes to just roster building, what can we bank on for 2026? What can we feel good about? Because I look at the roster for next year, and I think the starting pitching core is still solid, right? You get Pablo back healthy, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, SWR. He's on the mound tomorrow versus Detroit. We'll talk.
He's not on the mound tomorrow. He is pushed back to Wednesday. He had a little stomach bug. So
got it. Okay, good update there.
Mhm.
Festa, who you talked about, he's on the IL. So I just feel good. Like, okay, if everybody comes back healthy and to the form that we expect them to be, I can get behind that. I like that. Which other young guys though are you most excited about? Kind of for the Twins having some building blocks, I guess, for the future after all this.
Yeah, and I think it's, like I said, just mainly the starting pitchers right now because that's most of the guys they acquired who are not, if not major league ready, they're pretty darn close to being it, and that's the best thing we can bank on. And when you have, let's see, they added, I think, like 4 starting pitching prospects, and you add that on top of to the 6, 7 guys you already have here, and a lot of these guys are going to end up in the bullpen in the next year or two. So there's pitching depth there, and the bullpen is going to look meek for the time being. I mean, you only have really Cole Sands and Justin Topa left of the 7 guys who have been in that bullpen all season. So that's made it a little more frustrating, but it's going to be some time. It's going to be a quicker turnaround than most people understand to see things get, filled back into that bullpen.
Speaking of the bullpen, I mean, you and I talked about just a couple days ago. We were talking about Carlos Correa, the contract, all that stuff. I know Correa was the big splashy name, backbreaker for a lot of fans. I honestly think the Louis Varland, Griffin Jax moves really kind of sunk some people's ships, so to speak. If they would have at least kept those 2 guys, I feel like it would have been actually an easier pill to swallow. But to lose both of them and Duran in one fell swoop, probably too much to ask for any real Twins fans out there. Was that too much fat trimming in your eyes too, or did you see the method to the madness in real time when you saw those names?
Jax, I understood. Varland, I think it's very hard not to find anyone who's not on the same page on why they traded him away, especially when he's finally turned things around and you have him under team control through 2030. He was the one guy they absolutely should have kept and built the future of the bullpen around. There's no question about that. So to trade 4 of those guys and capitalize on them, because, Jax had definitely has some signs this year where things are not going his way, even when he has, one of the best FIPs in Major League Baseball fielding independent pitching. But I think they had to capitalize on that right now. But Varland, that's going to be a head scratcher for a long time. And until we see these guys that got back from Toronto, turn around and make a really strong impact with the team, it's going to be a tough one to swallow, especially because he is the local kid.
Who are you going to miss the most, just as a fan? Who are you going to miss the most after, again, that complete gutting of the roster?
Oh, as a fan, definitely Duran.
Yeah. That seems to be the in vogue answer on this show. CJ, Sweet Lou both had the same answer as well. All right, don't go anywhere. Preview the Tigers series starting tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by PrizePicks. PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members to date for me and my money. Just by far the easiest, most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports. You watch favorite players. So simple as you got to do. You pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Could be strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, stolen bases, base hits, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the PrizePicks app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. All right, Tigers, 3 games in Detroit. That starts tomorrow. How do you how do you rally everybody back now mentally with 2 months of baseball yet to be played? Like from the top to the bottom, if you're Rocco, how do you want these next 2 months to look? Do you, you mentioned Buxton. Do you trim back Buxton's playing time now? Is it all about getting the young guys reps and seeing what they got for 2026 and beyond? How do you regroup your players in that clubhouse?
Oh, if Buxton's healthy, you 100% have him in the lineup every day you can, because you need a veteran in that clubhoust to be the leader.
If he's healthy, I just wonder if he starts to get these little dings now. All these little flare-ups.
Let's not go down that route right now until it happens. No, you play Buxton. I mean, you have Royce Lewis and Matt Wallner really needing the opportunities to step up and be consistent over these next 2 months, and not have them just be these flukes that show up every, couple of weeks or months, and then they go back to being, 0 for 14 or whatever it is, and you need those to really step up. I don't have complete faith in both of them being the guys that have been hyped up to be over the last 3 seasons and maintaining that for the long future. I think only one of them really has the opportunity to do that now. But, prove us wrong and step up now, even though it's a little too late in terms of this season, but do it so next season we have more faith to build around those guys that have been integral to the lineup core and make that work out.
I was off the grid when all this went down, by the way. I got service on Friday. I was up in Ely, Minnesota, up on the Canadian border. All of a sudden, my head's spinning. I've been so zoned in on the Twins. What else did I miss? Was there give me one other kind of crazy trade that happened around the league at the deadline that just kind of, I don't know, shook some fans, shook you. I mean, anybody that just really caught your eye, I guess.
I think because the Twins had 2 of them coming in at the very last minute, as in Jackson and Farland, those were the ones that definitely shook a lot of people. But, the Padres with A.J. Preller in the front office, he was doing A.J. Preller things and, got one of the better relief pitchers on the market that wasn't a Minnesota Twin and Mason Miller and J.P. Sears from the Athletics. And now they just dumped a bunch of top-tier prospects on them to win now. So I'm intrigued to see if, this is finally one of those seasons where A.J. Preller doing his things will actually get the Padres deep in the postseason with who they acquired.
Twins avoid the sweep in Cleveland today, 5-4. That's your final in Game 3, 52-59 now on the year. Huge shout-out to all the everydayers out there, all you guys that always make us your first listen, all you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out all of Theo's work, by the way, on X at Theodore Toloff1, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. Again, back here tomorrow for Game 1 with Detroit, 5:40 first pitch. Catch you right here. Same time, same place. Until then, signing out.